Hello and welcome back. I am thirteene doing another video for Squirrel Dealer, and tonight is Jolly Gruul Giants. Tonight's deck is kind of a pile, as is tradition. As is tradition. Of note, the Joyra Weatherlight Captain is actually supposed to be a Weatherlight. There was some problems with the API calls, and I need to look into that. But what we're doing tonight is essentially trying to get a giant creature out and give it double strike. Just a cheese kill. Pretty easy. That's really all we're aiming for. But yeah, that's the plan tonight. Beyond that, we have Ilharg, the brazen pig, able to help cheese in our giant threats of the Gulta and Metalwork Colossus. Of note, Gulta reduces cost thanks to our creatures, and Metalwork Colossus reduces cost for our non-creatures. A little bit of a non-bow there, but we do have a couple of things to try to make this happen. Great Henge is pretty much the puzzle piece that lets those two fit together. The Great Henge costs less for the greatest power among creatures that we control, as well as being ramp, and it costs 10, which means that we can free cast our Metalwork Colossuses, as well as gain us some life versus aggro. And then the Immortal Sun is our sleeper card that's going to make it so that we're actually pretty decent versus some of the other decks in the format. Like the Fires deck won't be able to do anything against the Immortal Sun. It'll be hilarious. Supporting staff is Bone Crusher Giant, just a pretty good red card. Heart of Kirin, again, it's a vehicle, so it goes towards Metalwork Colossus until we crew it, then it goes towards the Gulta. We have Ember Cleave to give us double strike, as well as its cost reduced equal to the number of creatures attacking, so hopefully we can just cheese it into play and reduce the cost, and that's the deck. Real decks have curves, and this is 1, 3, and 8 plus. So we'll see how this goes. I have drafted a mono green vintage deck that is going to be the backup plan, assuming that things go horribly here, but we're going to hope that they do fine, and hopefully we'll be able to make this work. I don't think that this can work with a single lander as much as I want it to. Here we have a double lander. I can ship back a redundant Immortal Sun. Yeah, this is probably fine. It's got rampant interaction. Also, you'll notice that we do have the card preview set up now. I still haven't uploaded the video from Sunday, but this is something that I'd really like to test in the coming weeks. And it's all up to you, YouTube. If you actually think that the card hovering effect will help learn cards and do things better, by all means, we will keep it around. How's it going? Otherwise, we'll go back to just being able to see the full deck list long term, but I'm guessing the card preview is something that people are going to want to be able to check out, and I'll try to stay on top of it. Alright, well, first threat off the table. Now we get to start ramping. The second Great Henge isn't very good, but yeah, that's still going to cost 9 with only Llanowar Elves out. We need a stomp. We really need a stomp coming in. It looks like our Elves is dying. Yikes. Okay, so this is a Feather deck. Reckless Rage deals damage to one of the creatures that you control, so Feather will put it back into your hand, and we drew the third Great Henge. Ay, that's ridiculous. Alright, well, yeah, I suppose that's a thing. What is the YouTube function supposed to do? I haven't set that up yet. I'd be happy to give you the information, though, or at least set it up for the future. I assume looking for a link to our YouTube page. Opponent has Titan Strength, so it's going to go downhill pretty quickly for us here. That is our YouTube page. And honestly, we're just dead here. We're going to have to go to game 2. Just not coming together. We saw 2 Immortal Suns and 3 Great Henges. Yikes. Not where we want to be. Well, mono red, Ratchet Bomb comes in. Ratchet Bomb is removal in the form of an artifact that will stick around to help reduce the cost of Metalwork Colossus. Anger of the Gods will help kill any of the lower creatures here. Tireless Tracker's in here for control matchups so that we can actually draw cards and get card advantage. Alpine Moon. Probably need more Alpine Moons just given the number of Lotus Field decks currently in the meta, but Damping Sphere is supposed to be able to take care of the Storm variants of it. So what do we actually want to cut now that we have a lot of creature removal? Probably just some of the fun ofs. Like, as much as I love fun cards, we're probably not going to get very far with some of these guys. Bow of Nylea can gain us some life here, but that's about all it really does for us. Embercleave requires too much of a board state. Lifecrafter's bestiaries for going off and drawing cards. Then maybe it's just Hammer of Perforos. This gives us haste and can, if we start flooding out, we can actually generate some 3/3s to crew our vehicles and reduce the cost of Galta and stuff like that, but we're going to be trying to clear the board with Anger of the Gods coming in, Hammer of Perforos destroying a land, and then nuking our Golem tokens. Probably not very good. Yikes. What is with these one-landers? We have like 23 lands in the stack. Let's actually confirm really quick. Yeah, we have 23 lands in the stack. Not cool, dude. Not cool. We can do way better than that. This is kind of fine. It's not the best. We're probably going to tuck the Immortal Sun for later. But Domri counts as ramp and will actually grow the power of all of our creatures to reduce the cost of everything else. We have a Heart of Kirin that we can crew with Domri for defense, and the 4/4 is actually really hard to remove in red, so yeah, we can give this a shot. The Immortal Sun also has a little bit of a nombo with Domri, but Domri's static effect is the primary reason we're playing him. And we will be playing on curve, and I want to snag a Monastery Mentor before it can get prowess triggers, so we'll go ahead and stomp the Stomping Grounds in. Shock the Stomping Grounds in. Yep. Opponent either thought we were bluffing or doesn't really care. See you, Taylor. And legendaries. Fantastic. More legendaries. Weatherlight's kind of a fun card in this deck just because it'll help us draw cards. It gets crewed by a lot of our stuff. Like, we actually will have the ability here to crew Heart of Kirin with the Domri raid and then crew the Weatherlight with the Heart of Kirin. And then, yeah, Galto will only cost like 2 mana. Alright, don't really care. Plussing just for the loyalty. And then this 10th Street Denizen, again, just showing that our opponent is a feather deck. Let me go ahead and pull up a feather. I think most people who played through Standard is pretty familiar with this, but still pretty good to at least bring up what I'm talking about. Ah, ran away. Okay, Boros Charm kills Domri. Oh, misclick. I was trying to get my windows back. I was supposed to crew the Heart of Kirin in response so they couldn't attack this turn. Alright, well, looking for probably Stomp. Yeah, now that they're tapped out, I really want Stomp, and we got a Gulta. Well, we were pretty close to doing a thing, but this deck's just a little too aggressive. We can give it one more turn just because if they don't have anything to buff their creatures, ripping a Bone Crusher Giant off the top will actually give us some legroom, but yeah, odds are we're just super dead here. Need some land drops. Okay, well, that's killable. That's a lot. We don't even have double red for Anger of the Gods. Anger of the Gods would actually probably win us the game. That's the double red. I could cast the Weatherlight, but then we're just dead to combat damage, so we're good. I am actually alive by 2, but they'll have 2 draws at just about anything. Yikes. Slightly too aggressive there. I also need to make a note to myself that the card image needs an actual background. Oh well. Jelly Gruul Giant so far got stomped. We are trying to build up. We're playing mid-range and skipping mid-range and kind of doing synergy combo things. Like, overall, not giant hopes. Just really coming back to this guy. Like, we just want one cheese win tonight. That's all we're really searching for. Like, that's really all I'm searching for here. Alright. Won the die roll. That's a good start. And this is fine. So I'm going to assume that shocking this into play isn't going to be great for us here. Even if they do lead on something like Taylor, then I can just kill it with Stomp next turn as opposed to trying to leave with the Wild Slash. The 2 life cost doesn't really feel that worth it. If I knew what opponent was on, yeah, just in the dark, I don't believe that's the correct call. Alright, well, they are green. Would have left it open for Stomp. Uh, Again, if they make a mana dork here, I'll still be able to kill it next turn, so I'm just going to try to play on tempo. And if they don't show us a mana dork, I could just run out the Bone Crusher and crew up Heart of Kirin and start beating in. Metalwork Colossus currently costing 9. If we get Bow of Nylea out, it'll end up costing 6. So still need at least one more artifact. Oh, it's a Grimflayer. Not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting that. That's fine though, we'll stomp it. Stompy, stompy, stompy. Immortal Sun will be reducing the cost of the Metalwork Colossus by quite a bit. Make it cost 4 just by itself. Alright, and opponent's definitely on the Grimflayer plan. We tried playing Abzan midrange on Sunday. I still haven't uploaded the video yet, but I did mention I'm not a huge fan of Grimflayer in the current meta. It can't get around the Arboreal Grazer, and it dies to Wild Slash, and like we're super punishing this right now. What are the odds that they have something to kill Heart of Kirin? Yeah, they're going to have a Fatal Push active. I'm assuming that's why they have the mana up, so running out Bone Crusher Giant and crewing leaves us open to die. We'll just wait a turn. Missing our mana there is a little awkward, but we're fine. Overall, nothing too bad coming down. Okay, an opponent doesn't have anything at the moment. Embercleave showing to be a little awkward without actual creatures around, so let's just get our 4/4 out. We likely won't be blocking anything this turn, so we'll just send Heart of Kirin out to its death, assuming they do have that Fatal Push. And then probably looking at just running out Bow of Nylea. I would actually love another Bone Crusher Giant at the moment. Five mana, so Nissa. My bad, we could have blocked something. Nissa's static ability is not stopped by the Immortal Sun though, so that's slightly awkward. We at least get a beater for 4 2 turns in a row. If they can't find a way to kill Heart of Kirin, we should be able to kill it. It's also a little weird that they activated their Forest here. If they didn't have a secondary play to follow it up with, probably their Swamp is their worst land because this technically taps for 2. It's a Forest Swamp at the moment. And being a Forest, it also taps for double because of Nissa. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm a huge fan of that exactly, but let's go ahead and just swing on in. It's also not bluffing a removal spell. But missing our land drops here means we're not in really a great spot to critique them. Alright, let's ping down Nissa a little bit. Honestly, we can win with some beats here, but I don't think it's super relevant because when we kill our opponent, it's hopefully going to be with a Metalwork Colossus with Double Strike or something akin to it. In the meantime, though, our attacking creatures now have Double Strike. We can grow our creatures so that they will actually be beneficial, or we can just gain some life. All that's fine. Oh, they did have a Grizzly Salvage. Kudos to you, opponent. It all makes sense now. The odds of them being a Soul Flare deck probably went down a ton. 3 Thoughtseizes. I really want to know what they would think if they saw our hand right now, because this is pretty ridiculous. With Grizzly Salvage, they put a Swamp into their hand. Ishkana. Alright, well, those reach tokens will buy them some time. On the plus side, we have Death Touch, though, so I don't need to use Bow to grow Heart of Kirin here. Missing the lands is super awkward, though. We're also moving to defense as opposed to being the beatdown. I want me some mana, please. It's turn 6. I would absolutely love to have more than 3 lands at this point. There's 23 in the deck, and we have 7 mana dorks. I believe in you, deck. Honestly, another stomp is probably okay too. We could stomp a spider or just grow our board a little bit. But unfortunately, most of our deck is very, very expensive, so they traverse for Emrakul. Alright, well, Field of Ruin won't be able to kill any of the forests. We now have 4 mana, so Embercleave, we still need double red for, as well as 1 more attacker. Mortal Sun, we're still 2 mana off of. I can use Bow of Nylea to kill a flyer, not relevant. I can grow a creature, which would mean that I can block with the Bone Crusher Giant and have it survive. That's probably good enough. Yikes. Well, it's pretty much lands or anything that costs 8 or more left in our deck. There's just not much of a point in attacking. We are dead on table. Yeah, I mean, they just activate a land and we're dead on table. Not much to do. I can only block, and we're not going to get anywhere with that. Alright, so what do we care about here? Sorcerer Spyglass can stop activating Planeswalkers. Probably not that relevant. This is a control matchup. I want my Tireless Trackers in so that we can actually get clues to draw cards. Anger of the Gods would have been relevant only versus Ishkana, and that's going to be a single target because they run the Traverse the Ulenwald to go tutor up what's going to be the most relevant at the moment. So the fact that they had that in hand was actually kind of good for our opponent. But let's see, what else are we actually cutting here? Great Henge dies to Assassin's Trophy pretty easily. I could see maybe just trimming one of these. It's a little hard to get out, but it is something that we actively want in our deck because it makes Metalwork Colossus essentially net 1 mana. It'll reduce the cost by 10, give us 2 mana, and Metalwork will cost 1. Gulta's fine. It's just a big beater that's hard to remove. Bone Crusher Giant is probably fine given the fact that they're likely running the 4 Grimflayers with seeing that many at the start of last round. The Heart of Kirin gets hit by Fatal Push and Assassin's Trophy, but it's still one of our best vehicles. Maybe that means Weatherlight's not good enough, although if this makes contact, it's at least a 2-for-1. Sky Sovereign also just shoots something down. Ronus is probably awkward since we need 2 things for him to be active, and I could see trimming a Mana Dork here. Nothing super exciting, but the Mana Dork is just a really bad top deck, and if they're a Thoughtseize deck, then we may as well plan for something a little bit longer. Okay, this is fine. You really don't want to mulligan against Thoughtseize decks, and the Lifecrafter's Bestiary, if it sticks around, is actually going to generate us both value from scrying and from casting any of our little dorks. And I don't believe there's anything I actually want to Wild Slash on 1. Grimflayer on 2 is going to be the best thing. And they have a tap land, so we're probably not getting Thoughtseized. Either that or their mana was awkward. Both are possible. That's actually great. So if they do have the Grimflayer, this is just a little bit better sequencing because I can Wild Slash the Field of Ruin, also revealing it if they're planning on banking off of Urborg a lot. I could actually... Yep. So awkward mana is the read there. But if they're trying to lean on the back of Urborg, actually that wouldn't matter. They would have ran it out on 1 over the Fabled Passage. Alright, so if I'm opponent, I take the Bestiary. Yep. Makes sense, makes sense, makes sense. Opponent doesn't know about the forest, so I'm going to sequence like this, and Heart of Kirin. Stomping Grounds represents the most, as well as they know about the Wild Slash. And we'll poke them for 1. I actually really, really like this swamp. Might need to get me some foils and paper. Interesting, they don't have anything yet. They are the Traverse deck, so they're probably looking to get Delirium going first and foremost on their early turns. Alright, well, we'll get in. Heart of Kirin is a crew 3. If we rip a land, we can Immortal Sun, then they have to have Assassin's Trophy. Yet another Grizzly Salvage, revealing these 5. And they put Swamp into their hand. So, awkward mana continues. Opponent has 5 card types, though, so that means any Grim Flayers are going to be out of the reach of Wild Slash. Immortal Sun not allowing Mystic to crew Heart of Kirin by itself is kind of awkward. I think moving forward, that'd probably be something that I'd want to consider, is just trying to figure out a better way to actually sequence that. Because we've had an active Heart of Kirin basically every time we've been live tonight. Ooh, piece of candy. That's a good piece of candy, too. Mortal Sun, text box for anybody curious. Basically does all the things. But not being able to crew Heart of Kirin has been super awkward. I did play with the idea of having the Sword Tooth that allows you to make an additional land drop, and Heart's Desire, Beauty and the Beast. I can never remember the name of the actual card for Beauty and the Beast, but just having a 5/5 that is likely going to be active on most board states, but it didn't blend very well with the Immortal Sun. Alright, do you have Assassin's Trophy? It's not looking like it. Sweet! We have an active Immortal Sun! One of the checkboxes for tonight is done. Yikes. Okay, well, I do want to get some lands out of my deck at this point. We've seen a lot of lands. Forests are probably higher priority since we already have double red, and this is going to cost 9. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If we activate this, we get 6 off of 4. So 7, 8. I'm 1 mana off. Yeah, not being able to crew this Heart of Kirin has been crazy awkward this game. I'm just going to double check, though, make sure I math correctly. So that's 7, 8. Well, we got it next turn. Sadness ensues. Opponent's probably laughing at us. We're driving the struggle bus right now. Nissa from our opponent will be able to double mana, even if it won't be able to be activated. If this is an Assassin's Trophy... Okay, never mind. It still wouldn't have let us cast Galta this turn because this reduces the cost by 1, which would have been the 1 mana they ramped us into. Little interesting that opponent saw us counting our mana and then decided not to kill our Elvish Visionary. I probably would have taken that as a read from my opponent, that the Heart of Kirin was not the problem, but whatever, they can do what they gotta do. Metalwork Colossus and then Galta is probably our line here. I'm going to need to double check I have the mana for it, but I believe that we cast this and it will reduce the cost of this to green-green. Then we're going to have 22 power on the table. Metalwork Colossus does not have trample, so that might be a little awkward to get around. Another Castle Garenbrig basically shores us up. So all these for green. 2 more. Activate Castle Garenbrig. Then this is going to cost 4. That's a big giant metalwork colossus, followed by a giant Gulta. Okay, I'm happy again. This just made me happy. Oh yeah, and the Immortal Sun Anthem, so they're even bigger. I mean, our opponent is playing Golgari. Like, they're playing the Rock. They do have ways to get out of this. Although they're finding a lot of lands off the top, so they had to have had a quality hand there. Emrakul also is kind of a problem for us. He'll trade with Gulta, but it'll just eat our Metalwork Colossus. Well, there's the Emrakul. So they have 5 card types and 7 mana. So they are 1 mana off. Oh, nope, they're going to have double mana here. I guess that means Gulta has to hit Nissa. Although our opponent's pretty much dead. Give us something good, Immortal Sun. Yeah, I'll count Tireless Tracker as good. And I think I'm allowed to activate this first in case we draw something off of our clue. We should have enough mana to crack 1 clue and hopefully draw into a land. Or into a creature. Words are hardened. Okay. Fabled Passage. That is sadness. Okay, well, math is typically for blockers, but let's see how we do here. So I kill Nissa, I don't get Emrakul'd. I attack our opponent, they have to chump block and chump block. They'll go down to like 3, and then I'll have lethal across at least 2 creatures. They will have double mana, though. And they're going to get our turn. Whatever, let's just go after our opponent. I think the Nissa is too much of a distraction with the Immortal Sun out. Okay, that's fine too. Well, they're going to Emrakul us, and then we're going to be able to attack in with some stuff. We'll at least draw a couple of cards the turn that we get Emrakul'd. So that's probably okay. Cracking their clues, getting the most information. Sounds good. We actually have a couple of things that give us haste and a couple of things that give us like double strike and the like. Oh, if they wouldn't have killed our Llanowar elves, they could have stomped it. Oh boy. Yeah, it's not looking great for our opponent here, but we'll see. Best line for them is probably Field of Ruin, the Overgrown Tomb, Fell to Find, and send Metalwork Colossus into Emrakul. No, I think they have to take care of Gulta first. They probably offer the trade on the Tireless Trackers, just that there's less blocker math involved, and they eat the thing with Trample. But then they're just chump blocking the Metalwork. They don't know it's in our deck. They're just drawing to see if they can do something better. We have seen a lot of lands this game. That kind of makes up for the previous matches where we just got stuck. Yep, failed to find. They do get to see what's in our deck, though. You got to admit, opponent, there's some cute stuff in there. You know what? Scratch that. Not cute. Sexy. This is a sexy deck. Like, we have a Hammer of Perforos. We have this guy so fair. Like, we have a Weatherlight. I'm waiting for something in chat. I know it's got to be coming. Because this is absolutely ridiculous. Yep, fails to find. Makes sense. Oh, and they scoop. Okay, so they did that primarily just to get information. Let's go ahead and update the match record. We lost to Feather, Heroic, and we're currently up a game versus Golgari. Ratchet Bomb, probably not an include. Sorcerer's Spyglass, probably not an include. We're on the draw, so I could see bringing in the Mana Dork just to try to get some of our haste back. I don't know. Ronus is also indestructible. Is that good enough? It'll at least crew all of our creatures. I think I'm back on board for Ronus, but that probably means Embercleave is going away. Yeah. Like, he can at least make our Llanowar elves bigger if we get back into a similar scenario like that last game where we just had a bunch of mana to dump into a creature. And even if he can't attack, he can crew vehicles. Ernest is a pretty good getaway guy. I'd have him on my crew any day. Our opponent's taking a while to figure out how to sideboard after seeing our pile of a deck. It's those moments that make me happy in Magic. If we were playing in paper, I assume opponent would have words for us, but they haven't said anything in chat yet. Alright, so Great Henge worth bringing back, and probably not. Just the fact that it dies so easily is worrisome for me. It takes a lot to build up to that, and if we already get a Galta or a Metalwork Colossus out, we're probably winning at that point. The gaining life isn't as relevant versus the mono red decks and stuff like that. I mean, Immortal Sun, you're a good player there. You drew us mostly lands, but those were lands that our deck was going to treat us to anyway. You stopped Nissa from activating to get additional land blockers. Like, I would actually be pretty firm in saying Immortal Sun won us that last game. It also got Galta big enough that it could attack into Emrakul and at least trade, which is super relevant. That's only going to come up in this matchup and potentially Seasons Past, though, so not something to write home about if we're going to say we want to build this deck, but probably worth mentioning. Bow of Nylea. Oh, it's 2 damage. I thought it was destroy target creature with flying. That'd be hilarious to kill Emrakul with Bow of Nylea. Attacking creatures have Death Touch, though. Definitely puts a stop in the chump block plan. Or eat plan. Emrakul eating wouldn't actually be a thing anymore. I don't know. There's a lot of fun cards in this deck. And I'm guessing opponent probably stepped away at that point. I thought that they probably spent a while sideboarding, but going to max time means that they probably ran to get a drink or cat knocked over keyboard or something similar to that. I can't keep this hand. We have lands. Yes, it's Pioneer. We have some lands and it's a Thoughtseize matchup. I can kill a Grimflayer assuming they don't Thoughtseize us, but the rest of our hand doesn't do anything and we don't have mana to cast it. So, okay, this is a little bit better. So we'll keep this guy, and it probably means Great. No, Great Henge will come down. It's got to be the Galta. So we have our 3 lands for the Tireless Tracker, and then we have a Fabled Passage on 4 to get 2 clues. Thoughtseize me, bro. Oh, apparently not. Alright. Well, I'm on board for that. With this hand, we're probably doing Tireless Tracker as a 4-drop. He's probably a little bit safer in hand than in play. Scrap Heap Scrounger. I wasn't expecting that one. But being mildly safer in hand means that the Mana Dork changes that, but I'd rather play him and get at least 1 clue out of him. So we're going to do it turn 4 instead of turn 3, but now that we have the Mana Dork, we can do it turn 3. Yep. Free damage. We're not blocking that. Not on board. Courser and their own tracker. Alright. Ooh, we even have Ilharg. Ah, we tucked the Galta. Alright. Well, opponent's tapped out, so I'm going to get maximum value here and just go crack this, get our second clue. And value fight is on. Next turn we get a crack 2 clues that will reduce the cost of Great Henge by 5, and then the following turn we can run it out, or we can just Ilharg now with the plan on trying to draw a threat with our clues. I think Ilharg first. Ilharg is also a 6/6, which is a great blocker against this current board state. Yep, I take 6. It's painful, but we'll have a blocker next turn. Field of Ruin is probably most relevant here. We're not going to be activating anything for it this turn, but... Oh, I don't have double red. That was a mistake on my part. So I can... Yeah, I think we're cracking some clues. Do I want a Field of Ruin, though? So I can Field of Ruin and crack a clue or crack 2 clues. Cracking 2 clues means that I can block the Scrap Heap Scrounger. Cracking 1 clue means I can block Courser. We have the additional red source in hand. Let's just crack some clues and leave up green in case we find another mana dork we can chump with. Teamer Battle Rage. Okay, well that's a good way to get lethal. Although I didn't mean to move into combat yet. We're not attacking. So, Field of Ruin. Nope, we're going to look for a mana dork. Heart of Kirin. Alright, that's fine. That means we're likely just going to take the hit from the... we're going to get Duressed. No, they didn't crack the clue and duress us. Alright. Well, they put Fabled Passage in hand. Yep. You get your clues, man. I think I'm going to wait 1 turn on chump blocking the Tireless Tracker. They can trigger Revolt whenever they want, so if they have a Fatal Push, they can kill mine, but that's just a concession I have to take. Then we get to Ilharg. Ilharg will make Great Henge cost 3. Interesting. Why would they attack with this? So, in a world where they're going to activate the Tireless Tracker to grow it, it's still going to cost 2 mana. If they activate this because I block it instead, they're just spending 2 mana to... They don't even have a creature to exile? Yeah, okay. I think they realized there was no positive line there, but because this comes back, I think they were contemplating if there was a reason to do it. This also puts an artifact in their yard, which turns on Delirium. That actually could have been the consideration there. They could have potentially had something like Traverse into Grimflayer this turn if they attacked with the Scrap Heap Scrounger. Instead, it's Courser 2. That's fine. When we kill them, it's going to be with a double striking 10-10 something bigger. So perfectly on board with that. I do need a red source out for Ilharg. That'll give us a clue. We currently have 6 mana. Is there any clue math I can do here? So every clue that I crack is going to reduce the cost of Great Henge. Wait, this currently costs 4? I'm 1 off from Great Henge into Ilharg. I can Great Henge into Teamer Battle Rage. Is that good enough? Probably not. Alright, let's just put our 6/6 out there. There are a couple of 6/6s, but this one is mine. And now attacks will be super awkward. And knowing that they want to activate Delirium, if they attack in with Scrap Heap Scrounger, will probably let it go. Well, there's a Grimflayer on top. I don't necessarily think that's the bigger threat now. If they have Delirium, they can cast Ishkana. Casting Ishkana will... I need to figure out a better way to go across my monitors without hovering over a new card. Come on now. Ishkana would at least clog up the board and make it so I have to find Galta for trample. If they attack in with Tireless Tracker, they can kill Ilharg. So I think that means we're going to chump block it this turn. Wait, no, I need the mana for Great Henge. They can only hit me for 6. Yeah, we're not dead here. We'll take it. Ripping a Gulta off the top means Battle Rage would be lethal. Although they did see our deck, they have to know Battle Rage is in here somewhere. Come on, big fatty. I want a big fatty. That's a big fatty. That's a really big fatty. Alright, so how much do you cost? You cost 3. We're casting you. Then, oh, opponent's tapped out. What up? Getting out Great Henge also is going to make it so that the Gulta is going to enter with a 1/1 counter on it. Then let them assign blocks. We'll make it a double striker. I guess if they block with everything, they won't die. I think they know about the Battle Rage, but whatever. Let's force the issue. Yeah, super dead. -10. Well, we pulled it off. I'm happy. I'm officially happy. That's really all I wanted to do tonight, guys. We can pack it up. No, not really. We're going to keep going, but we did it. The Brazen Pork let us cheese in a 13-13, and we gave it double strike. All right, so the Jorah Weatherlight Captain is Weatherlight. Embercleave has been a little awkward just because we haven't had the number of attacking creatures that we probably want. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the fact that Heart of Kirin is 3 to crew, and because we have to have both non-creature artifacts and creatures, we don't really have the Planeswalkers to support it. I feel like I have to have Mana Dorks. Like, this doesn't do anything until turn 4, assuming I rip a land, and even then it's just 2 vehicles. Like, nope, we got to do better than that. And this is fine. This is a turn 5 Immortal Sun, and then it's a free Metalwork. No, Metalwork will cost 2, but honestly at that point it's basically free. So we'll hang on to this, and I think Gulta is going to be the hardest thing to cheese out here, given the fact we have 8 non-creature artifacts, so that big fatty goes away. Then they have to not kill our Mana Dork. Okay, Temple of Enlightenment, so it's either Control or the new Lotus Field deck with Planeswalkers in it. Well, if it's Lotus Field, we have a couple of things for that in the sideboard, but more for the Storm variant than for the Planeswalker build. Alright, well, they could potentially have Censor, so we're going to run this out first. That way they can't censor us, and then we'll swing in for 1. With it being blue-white, we are the beatdown. We technically try to win with a cheese shot, but we still want to apply as much pressure as possible with the 1/1s. For all we know, they just won't get any pressure on the table, but hold counter spells, and Elvish Mystic will go the distance. I believe in you. And that's a Teferi. So Castle Vantress means that this might actually be the Jeskai version. Doesn't seem too likely, but it's possible. Bow of Nylea coming down this turn is slightly more mana efficient. Let's see, so Bow of Nylea comes down, I attack Teferi and kill it. Then next turn I get a Heart of Kirin and put a counter on and still attack for 2. So yeah, that's the plan. Weren't expecting this, were you, opponent? My Elvish Visionary has Death Touch now. Fear me. You've done great work tonight, just getting them pokes in. You're not Taylor, but you're getting some work in. Speaking of Taylor, how do I feel about Taylor in this deck? Taylor would grow anytime I cast one of my non-creature artifacts, but it would be temporary growth, which means I wouldn't be able to multi-spell that turn. Yeah, probably not worth it. Alright, Heart of Kirin. Then let's go ahead and put a 1/1 counter here. No, let's wait. We'll attack for 1, and we'll hold up the Wild Slash. If nothing goes down, we'll grow the Elvish Mystic. Although we're probably looking at big Teferi here. I mean, end step grow this, our turn grow this, crew up Heart of Cure, and hit for 4, Wild Slash it is actually pretty decent. Depends on what they can do with their 2 untap mana, assuming they plus. If they minus, he did. I think they're trying to figure out what to do with their mana. This is the weirdest board state I've had in a very long time, and I play stupid, stupid decks. Bow of Nylea's modes, in case anybody's interested. Putting a 1/1 counter on target creature is probably the one I'd be going for. Alright, let's see what you do. Alright. Honestly, I'm kind of okay with that because odds are we're going to be killing it anyway, and crewing it is just a little more risky versus a control deck. Kill your little dude. Alright, 2 little Teferis down. Small tempo loss, but what can you do? And then growing that Elvish Mystic versus running out another one holding up Wild Slash. We need mana. Next turn we can Immortal Sun if opponent taps out, so let's go ahead and take this one. Field of Ruin. That's fine. We're a green deck. We have like 3 mountains. Let's actually double check. Yeah, we have 3 mountains, and yet we have 2 of them in play. And then 4 Stomping Grounds. Deck's been weird with the mana tonight. Alright, Supreme Verdict accomplished. Stomping Ground doesn't accomplish a whole lot. Oh, I should have gained 3 life. That was a little loose. Well, 1 more land, I get an Immortal Sun. And then they need to have Detention Sphere more than likely. One more land, and I can actually Metalwork Colossus too. Actually, Immortal Sun into Metalwork Colossus is negative mana, so that's a line I can take as well. Guess we gotta see what opponent's up to. There's a big Teferi. Alright, well, I'm going to let them untap first. I'd prefer that they counter the Wild Slash if they counter anything. Okay, and they're F6'd. And that's a land. Boom, baby. Do you have a 3-mana counter spell? You do. Well, that's sad. Also kind of expected. I wanted to run out the Metalwork Colossus so I could attack Teferi for lethal the following turn when he's at 4, assuming it does get countered, but still sad to see it get countered regardless. Alright, and they have active Planeswalkers. It's a little bit harder to get cheese when you're trying to cast one big thing versus a control deck. But let's see what they got. Field of Ruin versus Castle Vantress is definitely a possible line, but if they counter this, I'm conceding. Show me counterspell. Okay. Maybe not. They went to casting, so who knows what they got. I mean, this leaves me with a 10-10, although Teferi's probably going to tuck it. I guess we'll see. Those are both temporary answers. Memory's going to draw them 7 cards, though, so if they tap out just to draw cards and we draw Temur Battle Rage, we actually kill them, so that's probably fine. Although this costs 6, that's 6, so they'll have 4 mana left over. Alright, well, we're probably in garbage time. Let's see what we draw. I think we just took a little too long to get that last mana. It is worth noting that they have commit though, so getting Immortal Sun isn't just an end all here. We have to go for kind of a faster win. Yeah, alright, well, tucking to Fairy is technically a win condition. I hate that win condition, but apparently Wizards doesn't know how to print good Teferis. Sorcerer Spyglass comes in. I could see Ratchet Bomb coming in, just because I could take it up and kill Planeswalkers, but that's probably not correct. Tireless Tracker will draw us cards. Bestiary is good here. Ronus is probably not. They can just answer everything else at the table, and they will have Exile and Tuck effects, so the Indestructible isn't actually that relevant. Embercleave is kind of more of like a cheese kill for a go-wide strategy. I'm realizing this shouldn't be in the deck, but I was tempted by the cost less. 6 mana to reduce the cost of Metalwork Colossus. Great Henge will draw us cards. Battle Rage will kill them. Heart of Kirin is just an additional threat. It's probably the Wild Slashes. The haste is actually super relevant on the hammer. The bow is probably the cut. Had we had something a little bit more valuable than bow, or we hit that land drop for the Immortal Sun earlier, we probably would have been fine there. Oh, this feels so close. Alright, whatever. We're going to keep it. Not a huge fan of this matchup. But we'll see what we got to do. Temple of Enlightenment. So I could actually crew the Heart of Kirin here. Sorry, I could play it and attack for 1. But seeing as how they put it to the bottom, I guess it's not as relevant. I was going to say I can Field of Ruin this and kind of mess up their mana and their scry. But if they put it to the bottom, that's not as beneficial. Alright, fine. We'll do this the slow way. And honestly, a double striking Heart of Kirin would hit them for 8. Probably not good enough, but it is a number I should probably keep in mind. Alright, Field of Ruin. Swing it with the Mystic. No Snapcasters in this format to be aware of. We'll go to Instep, and yeah, we're going to Field of Ruin. Okay, you opt. Good with me. I already have 2 red sources in hand, so I'll just get another forest. Maybe that was weak. If I top deck Ilharg, I won't be able to play it. Ilharg is a 1-of in the deck, though. I mean, we're going to draw it because I brought it up, but alright, what are you bouncing? Heart of Kirin again. Okay, gonna correct the red mistake. Hit to Fairy. Run out the heart and ship it back. We need a giant. If we had a 4/4, this would be super different. But now we're just giving our opponent way too much time. So currently costs 9. No, it always costs 9. Currently costs 8. We have 5. Alright, well, Mystic, get your pokes in. We're at big Teferi mana. There's the big Teferi. Give me a giant. I believe in giants. Ah, that's a giant. Alright. If they counter this, this feels super bad, but I'm going to lead on Stomp. Then we'll cast the Bone Crusher Giant. Crew up. Hit Big Teferi. Hit opponent. Yep. Well, that means if they minus Teferi, he dies. If they don't, I get to attack in. Although, I believe they're running 4 Azorius Charms, so they might just have another Azorius Charm. I should actually be able to Great Henge next turn. 5, 6. Reduced by 4. Yeah, I should be able to Great Henge. Well, yep, that's sad. Between board clears and removing our big threats, it just doesn't seem like a fair matchup. Well, here's our Heart of Kirin. That's all I've got. Then I'm going to need another Bone Crusher Giant or Tireless Tracker. Although Tireless Tracker isn't really going to do what I want it to do because it'll probably die since I don't have an additional land drop to make. But I have to make every land drop so I can drop like a Gulta, assuming I draw one. So, who knows? Opponent has cast a Dig Through Time, has an active Teferi with a Castle Vantress, and they even just threw away their Search for Azcanta Flip, so not feeling super stoked about this, but we'll see what happens. We'll give it a couple draws. Spyglass. Well, that kind of stops Teferi. And that also makes it to that future... oh, they have a Cast Out and an Aether Gust. Ugh, yeah, this just feels so bad. Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. Then... yep. Metalwork Colossus would be reduced by 4. So I need to rip a land before Metalwork Colossus is live. Spyglass goes away. And then we're going to be dead to the Monastery Mentor, so I think I need to rip exactly... Domri would be close, but he just... actually, Domri would at least let me block the Monastery Mentor for a turn. And generate mana. Yeah, let's see what we draw, but this is over. Scry 2 to the bottom, not like it matters, and ripping a land is not going to get us there. Control feels rough. Control feels really rough. Let's go ahead and update the record to be sad versus control, and we will see what else we got. We knew going in, like we mentioned in the deck tech, that it was going to be a little hard to make both Gulta and Metalwork Colossus happy, but making Metalwork Colossus happy would turn Gulta online. Potentially, like, Hedron Archive or Gilded Lotus would be pretty good in this, because you could at least ramp up to it. You'd be able to cast Metalwork Colossus after Gilded Lotus pretty much guaranteed, because you'd have the 5 mana for the Lotus, and then you'd reduce the cost by 6. And then Metalwork comes out, Lotus taps for Gulta mana. I don't know, maybe we should have had a little bit more mana generation in this deck, but like this seems fine. Lifecrafter's Bestiary will actually draw us into it. We'll have it out on turn 2, and then potentially cheese out a Mana Cleave, and then Metalwork is free when we find it. And by free I mean cost 2, but if we've had the mana for the rest of the cards, we have the mana for the Metalwork Colossus. Spire Bluff Canal. Done deal. So this could be a number of things, but my best guess would be Phoenix, because I'm assuming Phoenix at the top of my list. That means that Bone Crusher Giant wouldn't be able to kill Thing in the Ice if it comes down. If it is mono red Tempo or Prowess or whatever, yeah. Maybe that was a little greedy not leaving up the red, but they are a red deck. Figured the life total was probably worth it to wait a turn on the rest of these. So, stomp down the Young Peasy, And we can bestiary and draw the following turn. So our next two turns are alright. They're not amazing, but they're alright. Strategic planning. So Phoenix basically confirmed. Although I don't know if Phoenix runs Young Pyromancer, but the strategic planning to fill the graveyard to get Phoenixes in there and also get fuel for Treasure Cruise is basically stock. Alright, run out the bestiary. Then next turn is Bone Crusher plus draw a card. I do need to crack this before my scry. Was planning on doing it at end step anyway, but actually it's just slightly more correct to do it during upkeep. Whatever. I don't think that matters in Pioneer. Definitely does in Legacy. Alright, fueling the yard, so they're a little light on action, or they're trying to bend some Phoenixes and then kill me here. So I hit one Phoenix. Kill me might be a little bit of an overkill. Come on, show the Phoenix. Okay, so not actually getting Phoenix back yet. Getting double red in case we find Ilharg. Yeah, I'm on board for a land. Gets us closer to the Immortal Sun. Also, no. Is it Charm hits non-creature? Never mind. Not relevant. Alright, another Metalwork Colossus means if this Immortal Sun lands, we're happy. Embercleave will also come down on Bone Crusher Giant next turn. And then that would actually just be... Oh no, it'd still be 2 mana Metalwork Colossuses. Well, if we don't rip a land, our plan is to attack. And they're still looting away, so they're just trying to find their Phoenixes. Grafdigger's Cage out of the side is going to be great. I'm probably going to try to make room for the Anger of the Gods. It's more in here for the Dredge style matchup, but it also does work versus the Phoenixes. In the meantime, though, we're going to hit our opponent for 8. Oh, sorry, 10. Gets +1/+1 as well. And I think opponent's trying to determine if it's worth bringing back only the 1 Phoenix. And apparently it's not. When we get a scry, let's try to find a land. Not really in the market for Llanowar. Although Llanowar will draw me a card. No, not in the market for Llanowar. Fabled Passage. Alright, well... Opponent is likely representing Izzet Charm. Although they've gotten rid of 2 already. I'd assume they're more on Dig Through Time, but their build is supposed to run Treasure Cruise. So, if I'm going to get one of these 2 countered, I believe I want Embercleave countered. So let's plan on doing that for the turn. And we can also see if they plan on Lightning Axing or something first. Alright, well... Do you have the 3rd Izzet Charm? You've seen 19 cards of your deck. This is such a weird pile of cards. Okay, so it was just the Lightning Axe, but Embercleave is still going to reduce the cost of the Metalwork Colossus. That also tells me that they don't have a counterspell in their 1 card here. And that also tells me that they don't have enough cards to bring back the Arclight Phoenix unless they have Treasure Cruise. So they have 7... yeah, they have enough to Treasure Cruise and leave all the important pieces. So, alright, that's a Cackling Drake, currently a 6/4. Oh, that's a good card. I like that card. So... we have to tap out for the Immortal Sun. Then our Metalwork Colossuses are free. I think I'm just supposed to put lethal on the table and force them to chump block with this, although I'd much rather draw cards with the Great Henge and Lifecrafter's Bestiary if I had the mana. But, I can only do so much with the random shenanigans that I have. I think our opponent's looking at Metalwork Colossus like, what is going on over there? Like, I've played some piles, but I think this one is definitely winning at the moment. Alright, then that means Great Henge is coming down for 2. It's also going to tap for 2. It's also going to gain me 2 life, which is looking kind of relevant at the moment. But it means that opponent has to leave back at least 1 chump blocker. So I think Young Pyromancer Treasure Cruise is probably the worst thing that can come out of our opponent here. But I also get to just equip this and have Double Strike and kill them, so... yeah, I think this might actually just be game. Alright. So that was a thing. Well, Grafdigger's Cage is cost reduction for Metalwork Colossus. Damping Sphere would also make it so they can't combo off as hard. Pioneer is not modern. There's no Manamorpho shenanigans and no flipping thing in the ice on turn 3. So this can actually really dampen what they are doing. That was terrible. I didn't mean to make that pun. I'm sorry. Don't go away. Anger of the Gods, especially seeing the Young Pyromancer seems a little more appealing, although that doesn't kill the Cackling Drake. So maybe that's just a Ratchet Bomb. Ratchet Bomb is Global Clears, probably seems fine, although I have to get it up to 4. It comes out kind of early. That might be fine. Sky Sovereign is a good blocker. Weatherlight's a good blocker. Ronus is maybe a little slow here, although it doesn't die to Lightning Axe, which is probably relevant. I'm assuming if they're running Young Pyromancer, they don't have thing in the ice, although we're going to take 1 second here to look up the MTG Goldfish list, because I haven't seen this since Pioneer kind of first became a thing, and I know it's a pretty tier deck, so Brazen Borrower, Young Pyromancer, Arclight Phoenix. Dude, that Brazen Borrower is bad news. Bad news bears. Alright, so Is It Charm and Brazen Borrower are probably the things I need to be most aware of here. Anger kills Brazen Borrower. Yeah, that might be enough of a consideration for me to bring it in. Damping Sphere doesn't feel relevant enough, and if they're going to be bouncing my stuff, then Embercleave probably takes a cut. The Immortal Sun can probably take a cut, but I don't know, the Is It Charms are just so painful. And they hit everything that the Metalwork Colossus wants to see. Bow of Nylea can shoot down a lot of their stuff, so that's actually great here. Incidentally good. Heart of Kirin is good. I don't know, they can just kill our dorks. Maybe it's trim a couple of dorks. Still want the Wild Slashes for the Young Pyromancer and Brazen Borrower. Yikes. Ilharg is actually probably good. It actually dodges Lightning Axe. Maybe a Great Henge just because it's a little hard to get out, especially if they're bouncing our stuff. And then it's probably the Angers or the Wild Slashes, and long term I'd rather have the Wild Slashes. Wild Slash is a little easier to activate with the Bow of Nylea as well, in case I have to take out the Crackling Drake. Is this a hand? Well, we have 3 mana, and this is going to cost 7, the way that my current hand is setting up. I have removal for the Young Pyromancer, and I have a Ratchet Bomb I can already start ticking up to 4 to get rid of some of their flyers. So this is probably okay. And I do have a turn 2 play, and so now the life total is actually relevant to hold up Wild Slash. If there is a Young Pyromancer, I want to hit it here. Although it's possible they just try to hold up Is It Charm from me. We'll see. Strategic planning. Alright, well, you got it, opponent. They put Steam Vents and Sulphur Falls into their graveyard. Wait. Oh, we don't see it. Derp the derp. I've played Magic before. I've played this game. I think I want to commit into Heart of Kirin here. just because it will at least threaten blocking, assuming we can find a moderately sized creature. Our deck hasn't been performing in a way we can find a moderately sized creature, but if we do happen to find a Bone Crusher Giant, then we can stomp and then crew it the following turn, and we won't have to try to stomp and Heart of Kirin at the same time. That's Young Pyromancer, and they've left up enough mana for one thing, so let's go ahead and Wild Slash you. See if you have a Spell Pierce. If you do, I can pay for it. You'll get your token, but I can pay for it. Opt. Okay, that's fine too. I assumed you were going to walk out of this with a Young Pyromancer token, so... Then we get to run out our Ratchet Bomb. And we have Hopes and Dreams. Really hard to believe that they don't have counter magic by the time that we have 6 mana, but I'll stay optimistic. Yep, ouch, 1. The pain. And is this a Drake? Chart a Course. Alright, well that's just good old-fashioned card draw. So they have an Izzet Charm. Let's go ahead and put a charge counter on the Ratchet Bomb. That's Ilharg, but we don't have the red for it yet. I think Ilharg is probably going to be the way that we win this game, if I'm just going to be super realistic about it. Get Ilharg out, they have to spend multiple burn spells to kill it, which is probably a Lightning Axe and an Izzet Charm, which like stops them stone cold. You. You were a very, very pushed magic card. Alright, Young Pyromancer. So, we wouldn't even be able to cast Anger of the Gods here. I do believe that was the correct call given what we've seen out of our deck. And they're holding up the ability to run out the Brazen Borrower, so they are trying to tempo us out here. I'd love to Ilharg. Guess not. Alright, well. You can Izzet Charm me, but I can pay. Then we'll Ratchet Bomb and start ticking it up at their end step so that we can kill this Brazen Borrower in 3 turns after it's already done 9 damage to us. I actually think we die first. It's very possible that we just die first. Because we're taking 4, we're on a 4-turn clock. By the time this gets 4 counters and I crack it, we're dead. Does that mean I'm supposed to kill this elemental? I actually think this means I have to kill the elemental. I'm not very happy about that, but this is going to do enough damage long term that it's going to really upset our tempo. If they don't have a hard counter spell for Ilharg, Heart of Kirin will be able to block Brazen Borrower anyway. That's rough. Although, Ilharg into Heart of Kirin kills it? Yes, Ilharg into Heart of Kirin kills it. Brazen Pig. It doesn't kill it, but it does make it harder to clone. Okay, that's fine. It also means that they have to leave Brazen Borrower back to block it. This can only block things with flying. And if they don't have another Petty Theft, then that means that they're taking the damage from Ghalta, so looking to top deck a Temur Battle Rage now. Also means that I can Ilharg drop the Ghalta and then hit them and then permanently cast the Ghalta. So then... Actually, what am I supposed to do there? I think it might be drop the Metalwork Colossus and then drop Ghalta post-combat. But that means that if they have any tokens, they just get a chump block. Okay, they're looting. Ilharg also has trample, so I can kill Saheeli just with pig damage and send the Galta at the opponent. The fact I can't Immortal Sun and Metalwork Colossus is super disappointing. Alright, well, they Izzet Charmed and discarded an Izzet Charm but kept the land drop. So I assume that they have something for 4 mana that they want to do. If they attack in with this Brazen Borrower, they might just be dead. I'd need to rip something to crew the Heart of Kiran, but... Okay, pre-combat Charter Course means they're discarding Arclight Phoenix, or they don't plan to attack this turn, one of the two. Alright, so it's probably safe to assume they're not attacking this turn. Discarding the Wild Slash means that they're likely not trying to Lightning Axe my Ilharg. Oh no, they are. They just found 2. Alright, that's a little rough. Mr. Pork, I had faith in you. Now we're going to have to wait a couple of turns before we see you again, and I don't know if I'll be able to stay alive that long. Yeah, I guess they're just looking for the Lightning Axe. Seems weird to want to just actively discard a card. Mystic. So, are we dead? They just clone this, hit us for 6 in the air, and 3 on the ground. Yep, can't do anything, they got it. Seeing Saheeli, I do want the Anger of the Gods, although the double red's probably going to be hard. I need to actively look for the red mana. Then that means Weatherlight probably comes out. The crew 3 is just awkward. And all of the things that we want to crew are crew 3. I can't think of anything that has 3 power I'd want to use. Maybe the Drover of the Mighty, the dinosaur one, but I think you have to have a dinosaur before that matters, and the only one that we have is Galta. I'd have to look into that. Either way, that's not the problem for today. The problem for today is probably Ratchet Bomb out. It can clear tokens better than Anger of the Gods, but it showed to be super awkward, and bouncing it was the play that won our opponent the game there. So, yeah, maybe that's just it. Either way, we're trying to cheese one-shot some people, so it can't be too picky. This actually might be a turn 3 Ilharg. Yeah, and then we just need to rip a land or another mana dork and a big fatty to drop into play. Then that's a turn 4 kill. If it's Galta, or Metalwork Colossus, it's going to be 30 damage on turn 4. Alright, I have a dream. Immortal Sun's not a bad backup plan. Our opponent has shown that they are very happy strategic planning on 2 if we leave up the red mana, so I think the plan is we're just going to drop this into play tapped. We'll use the Elvish Mystic to drop the Llanowar Elves, and we'll hold up the Wild Slash in case they are on Young Pyromancer. The way that we tapped did signal that we didn't have the Bone Crusher Giant. Sad. Well, we had 2 shots at it. Still only 1 mana away, though. At this point, I am attacking. You're not blocking, and they don't have anything that can snap into play. That might incentivize a Wild Slash out of them, but whatever. Can't play around everything. You gonna Petty Theft to Llanowar? It looks like you're gonna Petty Theft to Llanowar. Oh, nope, you're looting. Alright, well, they are trying to do the Phoenix things. And they did find one. So, Grafdigger's Cage off the top would be fine. I don't think it's overly exciting, but it'd be fine. The turn that they go off, they'll probably just bounce it with Brazen Borrower anyway, so... Alright, show me what you got, opponent. I have 2 manas up. And 2 Teamer Battle Rages, because apparently that's today. We are playing a wrong half deck, though. Like, we will see the wrong half of our deck a lot when we're trying to do two different strategies that are both fun. Killing a... Like, why would you not do that during... Okay, whatever. They saw I didn't have protection spells, although that did save them from an Ilharg this turn. You get in there. Our Elvish Mystic's actually been doing a lot of attacking considering we have 3 of them. The Llanowar Elves is a 4 of, and I think that's the first time we've ever sent a message. Alright, well, show me Lightning Axe and another burn spell again. That's mildly disappointing. It also looks like they have a removal spell, but apparently not. Alright, well, this is my Ilharg. He's my pork buddy. He has 6 toughness, so this is your test. If I Battle Rage him twice, you're dead. Unfortunately, I might actually have to go after Saheeli just because of the sheer number of cards that they cast. I guess we'll see. If they have another, which, let's face it, they have another, they'll be able to block for 4 damage, which means they'll likely have to follow it up with the Wild Slash as well. So if our opponent doesn't tap out here... You seriously have it again? Like, for realsies? You just have it again. Oh my gosh. Alright, well, Ilharg, you're going 3 from the top. You'll be able to make a heroic return and try to put an end to this game. It's just double Lightning Axe. Alright, well, the Phoenix is coming back too, so... Yep. Go back into the deck. I want to see you again. Okay, well, they only have 1 card left in hand. I think I can take the beats for 3 for a turn. So as long as they're tapped out and I can't get Is It Charmed, let's run out this Immortal Sun. That'll also make it so I draw Ilharg next turn, and I can Wild Slash and Ilharg. The fact that the Servo can't become a Phoenix because Saheeli is being shut down by the Immortal Sun means that we're only taking minimal damage here. Oh my gosh, and there's so much I want to kill. Okay, scratch that. I think I want... Anger of the Gods off the top. I'll be sad to lose my Llanowar Elves, but I think it's needed at this point. And it's not there. Alright, well, let's go get a land. My hand is super red at the moment, so let's get some red. There's the pig, and then... I want to kill Arclight while they have no cards in hand. And that means nothing on the ground can attack at the moment. Ilharg having 7 toughness isn't super relevant if they are planning the Lightning Axe strategy, but like with 1 card in hand, it has to be Treasure Cruise for them to do any shenanigans here. Ooh, and Metalwork Colossus is going to cost 4. Oh, I can shoot something for 3. When this deck goes right, it goes right. Alright, let's go ahead and Sky Sovereign first. Sky Sovereign's going to allow me to ping something for 3 damage. I tried really hard to get around things, and then mousing over the trigger got rid of it too. Alright, well, this is likely game anyway, so let's go ahead and attack our opponent. Brazen Borrower can't block things without flying, so unless they have another Brazen Borrower in hand to Petty Theft, this should be game. Teamer Battle Rage you? Double Strike and Trample? Game? It's looking like game. And that's game. Alright. Well, that felt pretty good. And I'm actually going to have to apologize for this one. I'm going to pause the video and upload the rest to YouTube later. We are currently 2-2, which is better than I was expecting for this deck, but my dog has been freaking out. I'm sure you guys can hear him. I need to run him outside, so let's just do some closing thoughts on this before we part ways. I think that the tireless trackers need to be main board because they're both very good. They fit our strategy pretty well. They can grow up if we don't have anything else to do to get closer towards casting Galta, and they crew our vehicles. Crewing the vehicles was a huge problem for this deck. Ilharg was also pretty amazing as a backup plan. Like, yes, the Great Henge was pretty good synergy between Galta and the Metalwork Colossus, because if you had one, you basically had the other. But to get the first one is all you really needed to do, and then you basically won the game, barring like double Lightning Axe or Brazen Borrower, at which point, like, you're going to have to run out the first one anyway, so maybe not committing as hard into that. I think I did like Galta just a little bit more, so maybe do a 3-3 split on the top end for Trample, just because he was really good for Trample, and it was a little easier to get our creatures online than to have a couple of do-nothing artifacts and not die. The Jorah Weatherlight Captain was a Weatherlight. We never actually got to see it in action, but I did think it was a pretty good card for the deck because it let us draw if we were able to crew it, but crewing did become the biggest problem in the deck. I do think that the fact that Metalwork Colossus worked really well with artifacts out of our sideboard was amazing. I could see potentially making this a Karn the Great Creator deck and going a little bit lighter on the creatures and just planning on having like Tireless Tracker, and if I'm going to keep the memes alive, probably something like Gearport Aether Grid so that we can use our clues and our vehicles to actually ping things when we're not able to turn them online. But overall, like, this was I didn't rate it as a meme, but it is a meme deck. We just were trying to do a couple of things to get a giant creature out and give it double strike, and we did that more successfully than I was expecting to tonight, and we were able to one-shot some people. Our one opponent Emrakul'd us, and then we still won the game because our Galta was just better than their Emrakul, and they were able to look at our deck and they didn't see anything, but in paper it just would have been awesome to like sit across from your opponent and having them flip through your deck and being like, what is going on here? The fact that we did get our 2 wins is at least something that I'd say we could qualify for F&M. In playtesting, I did play against Mono Red and Heroic, not necessarily Feather Heroic, but Heroic, and I actually won both of those matchups because we were able to come down kind of early and we had enough stomp interaction, but there was a lot of wrong half problems for the deck that could probably be solved by either streamlining it or winning off of one strategy, and that's probably where we're at. If you would like to check this out later, feel free to check out our YouTube page. Just search for Squirrel Dealer. We have a full history of videos up for like the past, honestly, 8 months at this point. We might even be passing a year. I really should actually go figure out the dates, but feel free to go check it out. Bunch of fun decks like this one up there, and my schedule is over there on the left. I will be back next Sunday. If you have a fun deck and you'd like to send it to me, I love checking them out. We've played a couple on stream already, but I'm not going to guarantee we play everyone, but still happy to look at them, let you know my thoughts, see if any fun cards would go in them. But thanks for hanging out tonight, and have a good one, everybody.